In the news this week, feels like a recession. Exclusive opinion poll reveals West Aussies are feeling the strain on their households.
Banning social media for youths will never work. The Albanese government takes the lead on policy before the Liberals. New electric and hydrogen police cars are being trialled in Western Australia, testing their potential. And later, Dr. Andrew Miller shares his comment.
This is The Evening News with Ivan Loom and Maliva Thorne.
Good evening. As the cost of living and inflation continue to bite, the final results of our exclusive opinion poll reveal that participating WAMA News viewers are feeling an economic impact similar to a recession. The question asked was, do you feel like you're living in a recession in Western Australia right now? The results show that 85% of participating viewers says yes, it feels like a recession, while only 15% said no, they are doing fine. With the election around the corner, how will this shape both federal and state governments' agendas? Here's Peter Kennedy's exclusive take on the results.
The latest poll shows that 86% are somewhat pessimistic about the future of the economy. And that's concerning because you need confidence in the economy to get people to feel good about it and to get growth in the economy. There are reasons for pessimism, high interest rates, I guess, and softening resource sector prices. But unemployment levels are good, unemployment is low, and plenty of people are in work. And there's a sense that inflation is coming down. They're all sure that housing is the big issue, and that's a huge matter that the state government and the Commonwealth government have to tackle together. House prices are far too high. There's a shortage of accommodation, which means rents have been going up, and that is a key factor in reducing the ability of people to spend money. So what has the government got to do? At the state level, it's got to free up more land, it's got to get houses being built, public sector houses being built too, state housing, and it's also got to get the supply up, and rents therefore will come under control. Those sorts of things, if you make people less concerned about their accommodation, they'll be more relaxed about other matters, and the general feeling in the economy will improve. So that's the major test for the state government, it's the major test for the federal government. Free up more land, get housing and accommodation going, and reduce the cost of housing and reduce rents, and that will lead to, I think, reduce the anxiety in the population. And the federal government and state government providing some concessions. Some people see them as sugar hits, but concessions to cost of living for ordinary households. And the things like free royal show access for kids, reduced cost to the zoo, and those sorts of things, they all help. They're not major issues, but they do help a little bit. But the government, as I said, accommodation is the major issue. Interest rates need to come down. Once those things happen, then I think a lot of the anxiety that's building up in the community will start to ease off. Things will get back to normal. Peter Kennedy, WAMN News.
The Albanese government is committed to legislating a ban on social media for teenagers ahead of the next election. However, further questions have been raised as the federal government has yet to define what constitutes social media, what the age restrictions will be, and how they will hold global social tech giants accountable if they do not comply. Reporter Paige Reid spoke with 6 News anchor and founder Leo Parlisi on the matter.
Hi Leo, thanks for joining us today. What are your thoughts about the government having to raise the age of access to 16 on social media?
Look, I just don't think that kind of blanket ban is going to work, right? We're talking about kicking a lot of people off social media that are already on it. We're talking about potentially needing to implement pretty significant either ID or some form like that, which may have to extend to all age groups if we want it to be effective. And if you don't implement that, we're talking about literally checking a box to say I'm over the age of 14 or 16, whichever the government decides. So I just don't see that working. You've got plenty of kids and teens, and they are teens, right, who use social media for good. And I don't see why we need to kick them off, because this ban, it doesn't take off the harmful content that the government and also I, think that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, of course. So in Australia, there is no legal term for social media. What do you make of that?
I mean, that's a big problem, right? We don't know what's going to be banned here. Now, you think of the obvious, right? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. But then are we talking about YouTube, which would be pretty ridiculous if that was banned, because we know it's important in schoolwork. It's literally used by schools at this point. And mind you, the Prime Minister a couple months ago, when he endorsed the campaign Make It 16, I believe that campaign also included YouTube as one of their banned platforms. So that'd be ridiculous. I think it also included LinkedIn, which is just absurd. Are we going to include Pinterest? Are we going to include Spotify? You know, it's all questions that need to be addressed here. So yeah, that is a big problem, that we don't have a legal definition here. And I would hope that's addressed very specifically in this kind of legislation if it does go through.
Yeah, it is a bit vague. There's been a lot of talk about protecting children online and making sure they don't see unwanted content. As a young man yourself, under the age of 18, have you yourself been exposed to any inappropriate images or even ads online through these social media postings?
Oh, no, absolutely. And I think pretty much everyone my age would say the same thing. Look, it doesn't help. Twitter ads are a weird mess at this point. Pretty much unregulated. I don't know what's with them. But that exists, and that will still exist even with this ban in place. That kind of content that they say, you know, they don't want young people to see. If they bypass it, they're going to see it. And if they're, you know, 13 and they're banned, but 14 and they're not banned, they're still going to see it. And when it comes to, I guess, more of the inappropriate content, you know, regarding violence and other content that might be harmful for a young developing brain, look, a 14, a 15-year-old might still have the same, you could say, negative reaction to that as a 13-year-old who is banned. Or a 14-year-old might handle it, again, for lack of a better word, better than a 17 or an 18 or a 19-year-old. It's really a thing for individuals here, which, again, just speaks to a huge problem with a blanket ban.
Yeah, of course. Should something have been done a long time ago?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we needed to have this addressed, this harmful content addressed a while ago. Again, the problem is this ban really doesn't address it. But look, it's existed for years. People have talked about it for years, and you want something to be done with that eventually. Again, the problem is this doesn't do that. I would hope, though, even now that we're talking about it, we're going to have proper consultation about this. And I say I hope. I don't know if we're going to get it, but I hope so. And look, if anything's good come from this, we're talking about issues that are facing young people, and that's really important.
Yeah. What more do you think our government could be doing to protect young people online and on social media?
Well, as I mentioned before, right, you want consultation with these social media platforms. Now, look, whether they go along with it, we know that Meta and Twitter aren't on best terms with the federal government at the moment. And so that's kind of a, 50-50 whether they'd go along with it. But also education. That is something that could be implemented right now with our Commonwealth and state governments. Education as it relates to both parents and kids, right? You have these kind of patronising seminars that we get in late primary school years that I don't think people really pay attention to. And part of that's purely because it's more of a scare campaign. When you tell a teenager not to do something, you're more likely to do them. And that's kind of a big problem with this kind of ban. But also for parents, many parents are digitally illiterate. You need that kind of education so they can better understand what's going on and what their kid may or may not be seeing.
Look, Leo, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Police in WA have begun the second stage of their trial of frontline police vehicles that are electric. A new traffic vehicle will be introduced to the Southwest District this week, a Kia EV6. The trial's first stage started in June 2022, with Fremantle Police Station trialling a Toyota Mirai hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicle. Police in Bunbury, Rockingham, Geraldton and Midland stations, as well as Road Policing Command Centre officers, tested out a Hyundai IQ5 battery electric vehicle during the first part of the trial as well. According to WA Police, the first stage of the trial gave important early indications regarding both the potential of and limitations of EVs as frontline operation police vehicles, particularly relating to performance, charging infrastructure and driving range. The trial's second phase is to give another chance to test more operational abilities of the electric vehicle.
The Australian Nursing Federation WA announced its 2024 public sector EBA log of claims, which calls for significant funding in order to retain nurses. Among the claims put forward in the log of claims are a call for a 20% increase in wages over a 3-year period, statewide nurse-to-patient ratios implemented by 2027, free parking and public transport for midwives and nurses, and night shifts being optional for nurses aged over 55. It also demands an allowance to nurses that take on extra patient loads, giving $10,000 in payment of HECS help debt to nurses who work continuously for 3 years in the metropolitan area, and $20,000 for regional nurses. And finally, 2 weeks personal leave annually for those older than 55 to manage fatigue.
When this government came to power in 2017, we were the highest paid in the country, and I think that the public recognised that to attract nurses and midwives across the border, I mean, we can't attract rock bands unless you're going to pay record prices for tickets. And it's much the same for our nurses and midwives. If we're going to attract them, we don't just have to pay as good as what's happening in New South Wales, Queensland and Victoria. We have to pay more. That's the reality.
The Liberal opposition has pledged $6 million over 4 years to help increase Western Australia children and young people's access to Kids Helpline. The additional funding will support the service in expanding its presence in Western Australia in response to increased demands across the state. The opposition's community service spokeswoman, Donna Faragher, said the demand for the service has exceeded its current capacity. Providing more localised support is essential to assist WA children. Kids Helpline is Australia's only 24/7 online and phone counselling services supporting young people aged between 5 and 25 years old.
No child should ever feel alone, no matter where they live and no matter what time of day. Whether it's 5 a.m. or 5 p.m, we want to make sure that children have the best possible chance to get the support they need when they need it most.
The Royal Agricultural Society of WA gave a preview to the latest show bags for this year's Rural Show. The unveiling event was moved to Ronald McDonald House in Crawley this year, giving sick children and their parents a chance to have a taste of the fun of the show without having to go to Claremont. Raswa CEO Robin Sermon discussed the unveiling of the show bags, which allowed sick WA kids to test out and sample the various goodies, bringing a smile to the faces of children going through tough circumstances. This year's bags range from $5 up to $165, with 130 bags that are less than $25.
This is the year to come. We have kids for free, adults for half price, but we've got so many great changes this year at the show. We've opened up the show, the arena outskirts. There's going to be a lot more room, a lot more shade. We've got 25 new food vendors there this year. We've got new bars. We've got a special Royal Show beer this year made from WA produce. And we've brought back the Yellow Brick Road for kids, which is a trail through our Agventure Hill. So it's a trail through food and ag of WA, and it's selling like hotcakes. It's going to be so popular, and we're thrilled to have the Yellow Brick Road back.
And now here's Dr. Andrew Miller with his weekly medical and news commentary.
Hi, thanks for your time. I'm wearing my glasses this week because the plastic surgeon's been moving skin flaps around on my face thanks to too many sunburns as a kid, so it's certainly worth being conscientious about the slip, slop, slap. Been looking to downsize our house since my mum's moved into the nursing home, and all the rumours about the housing market being very difficult are absolutely true. 25 years ago, it was 9 years of average home income to buy a house. Now it is 16 years, and so it's a dramatic increase in the relative cost of real estate, which everyone's very well aware of. There's a lack of public housing, there's a lack of private rentals available at a reasonable price, and the whole thing's in a bit of a crisis when looking for somewhere reasonable to live in the areas that we've all become accustomed to. The future for our kids is going to be a difficult one if we can't adjust these policy settings so that those who haven't owned property forever are able to break into the market, and hopefully they'll be able to do that with a soft landing so that those who have made gains on real estate through investment and so on don't lose too much money in the process through big market corrections. But right now, the whole thing is becoming a real concern for those of us who've got kids getting to the age where they'd normally, in our time, be looking at thinking about saving enough money for a deposit. A lot of them are asking, why even bother if it's going to take me the rest of my working life and I still won't have paid that accommodation off. In Europe, they have the option of long-term, reasonably priced rentals. That may be something that will come in Australia down the track, but right now with the short-term leases that are available and the ease with which landlords can shift people on, it's really introducing a lot of uncertainty and a lot of anxiety into our community. And so, as always, really important to think about what are the social determinants of people's health. It's all very well to have a normal blood pressure, but at the same time, if you can't be safe and secure in housing that's suitable for your family, then that really will impact on your health in the long term. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Doctor.
As you can see earlier, the birdie beetle bags are back. Millie, you're in heaven now, aren't you?
I'm very excited that they're back. I've been a big fan of the Birdie Beetle show back for a long time.
You're looking forward to the chocolates again?
Yes, I am. Definitely going to be grabbing one when I'm at the show. No, I'm keen for it. And now, here's what's coming up on 6 News tonight.
Thank you very much, guys. The top stories we're following here on 6 News. New South Wales decides big swings for the Libertarian Party across the states as millions head to the polls for local government elections. Not over Clover, Sydney re-elect Clover Moore for the record 6th term as the city's Lord Mayor. And also making news, at least 10 Palestinians dead after an Israeli airstrike in Gaza. Join us on the hour every hour for more news on our YouTube channel, live 24/7. For now though, guys, it's back to you.
Thank you very much. And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Remember to subscribe to the WAMN Extra News Club so we can continue our work in the community. Full details on wamnnews.com.au/news/extra. From Melly, Peter and Paige, myself, wish you good health, good night. See you next Sunday.
Thanks for watching.